Hi everybody, Russell by Hammers 11. Hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you're made aware of any time we put new content on. As always, we'd like to thank our channel sponsors, Untuck It. Check them out in the description below. Today's guest, he's been busy. You know, he's released a book, which we're going to talk about in a minute. It's Alex Montague. Hi Alex, how are you, man?
Hey, you alright, Russ? How you doing?
I'm very well. How's things with you, buddy?
Things are good. Things are, like everyone, a bit strange, but good. Yeah, bit of an insane day, but that's nothing that interesting. West Ham seem to be good, so that's weird. Something's working. And yeah, really happy with the book I've put out. I'm gonna put a quick bit of product placement, if that's all right.
Go for it. Put it in frame. Leave it in frame. We're all right here.
Yeah.
It's called The Iron Circle, the tale of Harry
Yeah.
Thomas, and available on Amazon, of course.
Yeah, from Amazon. Anywhere in the world, it's available on the appropriate Amazons as well.
Oh, brilliant, cool.
Yeah,
And it's a West Ham ghost story.
it is. Yeah. So the Iron Circle is, first of all, the name of the series that I've planned.
Sure.
So this particular book is the tale of Harry Thomas. So the Iron Circle are, in a sense, a firm, not necessarily in a hooligan sense, but a unofficial supporters group that started with since Thames Ironworks up to present day. And in this story, in sort of current day 2020, a man called Gav Goldstein, basically because he's the more sort of literary one. I mean, he's an architect. He's older than the rest. He's sort of tasked with basically trying to put together a history of this firm, of this supporters group.
Sure.
Because it's all a bit sort of hearsay, a bit of oral history. In the process, he comes across the diary of his great grandfather, who is Harry Thomas, and that's where we lead into Harry's experience, which is so it's during World War II, and obviously East London, which was very badly hit. And so a lot of basically the rest of the Iron Circle are fighting in the war, all except Harry. So obviously there's a lot of, sort of current day metaphors for losing football in the sense of attending. Obviously we have it on TV.
Sure.
But, his sort of sociable life of sort of Upton Park, East London, pie and mash, jelly deals, everything. Kind of taken away, and he's sort of left to fend for himself. So a man sort of taken out of his tribe, or sort of his sort of prey that's left the flock. And the viewers would have to read to know the details, but in a sense, he's been left to his own devices, and without the protection of his peers, he's exposed to a lot of sort of sinister elements. And so that's
really cool.
Summary, really. Yeah,
sounds really cool, man. It's nice because it's about, and you'll always, although it's in essence, as you said, a ghost story type thing, but because it's got so much relevance to West Ham, it's like that's what perks my interest up, because you don't really get West Ham in a literary sense, do you? So it's nice to appear into that instance. So yeah, that sounds fantastic, mate. And has it been selling well?
So far, good. Yeah. I was lucky enough to be with the boys on Stop Hammer Time the other week.
Yeah, good boys.
Since then, they've done me a favour, so a lot of selling. All the feedback I've had has been positive as well, which is always nice. This isn't a marketing thing. I'm not really into all that as much as I should be. But I am really sort of happy with the book, how it's turned out. It's hard to be modest and sell myself.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Whilst I am good, I think I'm sort of really good at writing. I'm sort of not a writer, so I'm not someone that's done creative writing PhD or anything. My job isn't wordy at all. But I think that kind of complements it, and I'm, like you kind of touched on, I've approached it as a West Ham fan rather than as a writer.
Yeah.
In a sense, so it's not got sort of those elusive references to Jane Austen or whatever. It's
Yeah.
so it's quite a populist in that way. But
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the word. Yeah, that's the word. And,
yeah,
and but it's also when, you know, if you're if you're into something, it's a lot easier, and you put your all in it. You know, if it's something you're not
mm,
interested in, so it's like, I mean, this podcast, this whole channel YouTubey thing. If I wasn't really a West Ham, although I am West Ham, if I wasn't, you know,
yeah,
you'd get bored after 10, 15, not 230 interviews or something like that now. So it's the same thing. And so, you know, and that comes naturally through in your writing, or it comes naturally through in when I'm presenting, because I'm really
yeah,
enthusiastic. And that's the same thing with you. And the same as the podcast guys, Stop Hammer Time, or We Are West Ham, or all the other guys, because they enjoy it, it comes through from the screen or on the page. So although you said you're not, you know, it's not your, you know, so you're not sort of you know, your job's not a writing job. Doesn't matter, does it? Because
yeah.
it's what you love doing,
Maybe
and
it works, you know. So I'm not
yeah,
trying to be
yeah,
clever. I mean, I gave up on that years ago. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult balance because I mean, about 50% of writing it, which was something I'd done almost spontaneously in lockdown. You know, sort
yeah,
of took advantage of a dire situation. It's sort of not not being not being too West Hammy to put off ghost story fans, but not being
yeah,
too horror to put off West Ham fans that aren't into horror. I mean,
yeah,
you read like, because I do read a lot, but if you read like Stephen King, it's heavy, you know, it's a
yeah,
little bit
yeah,
quite dark, and I'm not that's not a criticism, but you know, when you're
yeah.
tired on the way home from work,
It's having the
and you
balance,
some
isn't it?
stuff,
It's getting that balance right. So
yeah,
it's and I mean, it's the same with, it's the same, it's a bit the same with me. I have to get the balance right, you know, because
mm,
like, you know, I've got people who are, you know, really, yeah, just because obviously just the way people respond to the way, I don't know, the way the club is at the moment, and you know, so you have to be quite balanced, and you have to sort of, as
yeah,
you said, you can't be too one way and not the other way, because then it's like, oh, well, he's only thinking of that, or he's only thinking of that. So it's the same with your writing. You said you don't want to be too West Hammy, so it alienates everybody who's not a
mm,
West Ham fan. But similarly, you want to appeal to the ghost story fans as well. So it can't be littered with loads of references about Frank McAvenny, you know, for example.
no,
You know what I mean? So
no. No, I did. Yeah, I did have to do lots of research of, sort of World War Two, or sort of 1940s players, but that actually turned out to be great.
yeah,
I mean, when I do my Hammers 11, yeah, that will come into play as well. I've gone a bit eccentric in in how it's lined up, but
brilliant.
you'll,
No, that's all good, man. That's all good. That's all
yeah,
good. So obviously, as you said, West Ham are keeping us on our toes. As you said,
mm.
they're doing very well at the moment. They're doing all right at the moment, aren't they? It's a bit of a shock we're doing all right at the moment, but
Yeah,
it's
it's a shock, but I don't think it's all been rub off the green, and you know,
no, that's right. That's right.
uh, I mean, I don't want to go into sort of maybe slightly hackneyed debates, but personally, I've U-turned in my view of Moyes.
Yeah,
I think what we've got is a well thought out unit. I think he's doing a lot of things that Pellegrini wouldn't have in a
yeah,
positive way,
mm,
and vice versa, if that makes sense, you know.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest fear, to the point that I'm even scared of saying it now, and I'm a ghost story writer, is I really hope this upsurge isn't to do with the fact that they're playing in an empty stadium. I mean, I don't think it is. Like I say, I think it's more
Yeah,
to do. Um,
I know what you mean.
I mean, a lot of people have been given chances in the current West Ham team, which ain't really that common in modern football.
Yeah.
So you think Antonio's in his, what the word be, hopefully a renaissance and not a swan song. But you
Yes.
know, this must be the best of his career. Well, we've had
Oh,
him since 2016, and
yeah.
I mean, I won't criticise sort of any season he's had, but there's seasons where he's not been as good as he is now. Let's be nice like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Balbuena, you know, his first season was great. Second season, something was not seen in him.
Yeah.
Now he's played again, and I think he's done really well. You know, I guess in a sense, Moyes has given a second chance, or given
Yeah.
more chance, you know,
Yeah.
second spell, and sort of raising through players in my head. But I mean, I
No, it's
think
true. It's true.
Cresswell, there's been
Yes,
times, I've been humbled this season where players have been like, "Oh, drop him, drop him, drop him." Well, keep playing him, and he's smashing it at the moment.
he is. He
So
is.
maybe there's something to said with a bit of the long game, even though it's been a bit of a back and forth game. But in a way, it's a long game.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've called it. I've coined the phrase, and I've coined it now, so you can't use it. It's called as
I'm
trademark now. It's called
writing it.
Yeah, moisification. It's a verb to moisify. And basically, he moisifies players into different players. So he said Antonio, he's moisified from a right winger really to a central striker. He did it with Arnautovic, exact same thing.
Yeah.
Cresswell, he's done it. He's done it with Masuaku. You go through the team, and you're right. The unit he's bringing together are bloody. They'll fight for the game. They'll put a shift in, and I think we love to see that. And you can see something, can't you? You can see a framework being built. It might be because he's keeping the same formation, but you can see a framework being built, and that's the first time I can remember seeing something since probably the Allardyce years. I say quietly, but Sam had a vision of what he wanted to do with his team, didn't he? And he built the blocks to make that team. Pellegrini, we never really saw that. Bilic, we never really saw a project, so to speak. When everyone talks about the project they wanted, I want to sign to a club because I'm really keen about the project, not the 150 grand that I'm being paid a week, but it's the project, isn't it? But Pellegrini didn't really. He was just buying players. It seemed. When Moyes is definitely getting this, there's definitely some building blocks there. So, as you said, he's done the job. I mean, he came into the job twice now, and he's keep us up twice. He's done it twice, and so we'll see what happens.
Well,
but
I mean, I think you mentioned we mentioned Cresswell. I think you said Masuaku, but before it was Cresswell or Masuaku, and Masuaku is not comfortable in defence, and as I said, he's not a defender. I mean, what I've seen loads, and he's always his best at an even Moyes spell, is when he's bounding up that wing and attacking, or should I say, passing. A good ball for the attackers. But go back slightly with I mean, I'm saying this partly out of self-indulgence, so I'll be quick. But with sort of Bilic and Allardyce, or the other way around chronologically, is when you had the Allardyce team, you sort of had a very organised, well-structured, but dare I say, slightly boring team.
Yeah.
And then when Bilic took in, he sort of inherited that structure, and then sort of threw in a few sort of lunatics in terms of Payet, Lanzini, and let's just say in terms of impact, sort of them two.
Yeah.
Problem is then the season after, then Bilic sort of carried on adding these sort of players that didn't really fit, and then that's why sort of the project sort of crumbled.
Yeah.
So I think this is a case of sort of extravagance mixed with organisation, and to be a good team or someone to be a good manager, it's finding that balance.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and I think and we know that obviously we had the Fulham game, and everyone we should have torn them apart. But how many times, Alex, have we played badly and lost? We didn't play well and we won, and it's like that's a big stepping stone for us. I can't remember playing badly and winning. Do you know what I mean? Maybe in the championship, but it's.
I thought we played okay. I mean, it's one of them things where we hit the bar twice, so a matter of a few centimeters and would have 3 goals. If you don't trust chaos theory too much, it could have been the case. I thought actually Allaire played very well. Obviously, he's a bit under scrutiny, but I thought he played right in Fulham. But as everyone expected a 6-0 trumping, I sort of I don't know. I thought it was going to I did think it was going to be a draw, a 0-0 draw. And about 90th minute, I was annoyed that I was right. It rarely happens. But then luckily South, and then Lookman saved the day. So
good old Lookman. And again, something like that never goes our way either. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. I don't remember anyone ever doing that. Last minute, most people just try to thump it in, but I've just got a feeling. I mean, it's going to be, and to be honest, the Allardyce years were boring, and the Kirbishley years were a bit boring in a way in terms of the football.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I could do with a couple of them at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Just to just to sort of like get some sort of
Yeah.
just calm down, and then build on it, because it
Well,
seems
it's a case of stability. I mean,
yeah,
it's again what I alluded to earlier. It's actually sort of holding on a bit and maybe letting players or even managers pass through their rut
yeah,
can be beneficial. As I know it's very sort of rare in the modern game, but yeah, I mean that's sort of the result of that's what we're seeing now is a result of that.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. We just don't know, West Ham. That's the
no,
beauty of West Ham. We just don't know. And so, but I'm quite, I'm quite confident for this season, which is very rare. It's like, I've got a feeling we'll be, obviously, I hope, he says, touching wood, that we'll be safe by, or not safe, but we'll have a fair whack of points by the end of the year, meaning that we can hopefully have a go in the cup. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, that's the only issue. That's why we'll never do well in the Carabao Cup, because it starts in September or October, and then August that time. So, you're too busy about worried about getting the wins and getting the points on. By January, you know how your season's sort of going, bar a complete meltdown. So we'll see. We'll see. But no, it's
but it kind of also by January, if you're doing terribly, then your priority is the league. If you're doing really well, then your priority is the league. So it's
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So
mid-table, which we could well be. Then maybe you can look at a cup as sort of your. I won't say plan B because we're not going to win the league, but it's as a maybe give it a bit more emphasis.
yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, I've got all confidence in Moyes, and I never used to say that. As you said, I was
I
similar to
didn't.
you.
I've seen signs to give him it. I mean, it
Yes.
could be from now on we lose every game and we both look like absolute fools. But
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that wouldn't be the first.
Exactly. Hindsight's a great thing. And being West Ham, we could well lose the next couple of games just
Yeah.
because it's West Ham. And then all that hard work before has been ruined. But it's the West Ham way, isn't it, Alex, basically, to be perfectly
Yeah,
fair.
but even if we survive relegation by 3 points, then thank God for the Fulham game. So
Exactly, yeah. I think it's the last game Southampton, isn't it? I think our last home game Southampton. So hopefully we won't get to that, because knowing our luck. But anyway, and
Yeah.
also actually, Alex, while we're talking about football now, with the obviously all the being on TV all the time, do you watch it with the crowd noise on or the crowd noise off?
If I have a choice, I have it off, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah,
But sometimes I just watch what's playing.
whatever's on. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever you can find. Yeah,
I mean, so I to have the crowd noise. I like. I mean,
yeah,
since I was little, I've liked that kind of white noise you get at games.
yeah.
You think about what's happening. I don't know really. It's not my cup of tea. I also maybe it's a more tactical geek side of me. I like to hear the players shouting.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
You're at a match, sometimes, but yeah, I quite like that. When Selchuk was new,
Yeah.
it's one bit where I'm probably going to get this wrong. I apologise, but I think he sort of instructed to Noble or some to stay back,
Yeah.
which meant he went forward, and then I think that's when he got his first header. I mean, I'm paraphrasing reality. I've probably butchered it. So to see that communication is, or hear it, see it, whatever is, I quite like personally.
Yeah. It's
But
interesting. It's interesting to hear the players shouting and stuff, and
yeah,
who shouts, and we have quite a vocal team. I think, just on and off the bench. You know what I mean? In terms of, obviously, the Kevin Nolans and
mm,
Stuart Pearce's and David Moyes, and obviously you can hear them. And although you mentioned about the crowds coming back, I'm a bit similar to you. I mean, I was looking the other day, and I don't think and this is just me again hypothesizing. I haven't really done the maths properly yet, but I am pretty sure that the teams around the bottom of the league at the moment are
mhm,
the teams with the smaller grounds. so the tighter grounds, and so where the crowd noise does make a difference when players are at home. That's my view, and particularly the championship based teams as well. Bar Leeds, I think Leeds are an exception, but West Brom, Fulham, they need the crowd to give them that extra 10%. Because they're a good. Fulham were a good team. They played well against us the other day. But no, I will do some analysis on that because it's my theory at the moment. So we'll see. That's why I don't think there's been much of a difference, in terms of us with the crowd not being there. Because I think actually, it's quite a big ground already. And it's like, but then talking to some of the ex-players and they say, with the crowd gives them an extra 15-20%, they reckon, of their performance if they're not feeling great or they've got a bit of a sniff or whatever. So look, we'll see. It is what it is, isn't it? I mean, there's talk of coming back next month.
Yeah, I mean, I think we forget these people are humans, and I think we put their weight of reason to say or do or think anything we want about them. But if I had 60,000 people watching me work, I'd have a heart attack, I'd have a panic attack. Christ, and the young lads, like there's, I'm 32, and apart from Fabianski and I think Noble, I'm older than half the squad. I look up as these big gallant soldiers that fight for the I'm older than them. You see them sort of in their normal clothes, and they're like young youths.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point. You're right.
I know they get paid a lot of money, blah blah blah. But talking of hackney debates, money sort of doesn't really cover emotion or nervousness or impact or anything. So
no, you're right.
There's a guy that I did this other thing with, Mark Gower, who he looks at stadiums.
I know Mark.
He looks at stadiums and architecture.
Yeah.
And he's talking a lot about that, about how sort of the inside the stadiums affects the players, because obviously a lot of focus on how it affects fans, but no, it's about the players. And I was thinking, I think when they put the claret carpet, and now it's gone off the radar, but they have brought the two stands behind the goal.
Yeah. It looks good. I think it looks good. Because obviously,
right. I don't think we're far. Trying to be neutral as a Alex Montague writer capacity, but I don't think we're far off from a much better stadium.
No, I agree.
Already, we've got things to sort out. But I also think, not to ramble, but so in the mornings I walk past the stadium every day.
Sure.
And whatever we think of the new stadium, whatever we think of the move, every time I walk past, I want to jump over that fence. There's no game on, but metaphorically, I want to jump over, run up, and sit in one of them chairs. And I really hope when we do get back to football, the first games are going to be some sort of weird socially distanced thing.
Yes.
I'm not having a go. I don't know how to do these things, but it's not going to be going West Ham, with an exaggerated East End accent. But I think when there's a point, I don't know. Let's just say there's a point where we can go back to West Ham as close as it was. I think it's down to us to make that home and make it better, because for all the problems, I want to go back. Really.
I think it makes you. I think it makes you appreciate. I'm a believer of the adage: you don't know what you've got till it's gone, and that more so. I've had people on the channel and they've said, it's a bit like it's a bit like a chore going to West Ham, but it's a chore they want to start doing again. And I think people will. It will be, and again, it's not necessarily the football, it's the community, isn't it? It's seeing each other, it's going to the same pubs, it's going to the boats or the supporters club or all that type of stuff. And I think people really, I think people, I think when we all get back, people will realize how much they've missed it. Do you know what I mean? And so
also it is just a building, and Upton Park at least at one point was just a building. It's us that soaked into them walls. It's our shouting. It's our emotion. In my book, I sort of touch upon that, but obviously transfer it to the stories. Those bricks would seep in sort of feeling and emotion, but I'm sure that the first game at Upton Park, however that was, there was blokes going in there going like, "Wow, this ain't Hermit Road. This is corporate rubbish. Oh, they're selling pies, bloody hell."
Yeah,
But then, new buildings and new everything take about 100 years for the corners to wear off and to sort
yeah.
of have a bit of feeling. I mean, I'm not saying a stadium will take 100 years, but
I know
I'm
what you mean.
saying all this not as a criticising anyone that's criticised the stadium, more as I've been thinking about stuff a lot lately and sort of reviewing it.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I say, I want to jump over those walls and get back in that stadium.
yeah.
You know,
It is.
it was
It's
never a chore personally, but I want to go back. Like
no.
now, it's
You're
difficult.
right. You are totally right. It's one of those things where, I mean, I'm very fortunate that I'm there every game, and
Mm.
so I know it,
Give us a bunk up then.
I get to park. I get to drive in. I haven't had to get the train for ages, and I know I'm in a very privileged position, and I miss everyone being there because it's just
Yeah.
like, and it unfortunately it's all everyone talks about it being this sort of bowl and empty, and obviously it is at the moment, and it's the sooner we get it filled in the better. And I think they've brought in the sides, they've straightened them up, and I think it looks good. I think it looks really nice. I think and as you said, I don't think I think there's a little bit of development work needed. Who knows when that will be? It could be sooner rather than later if newspaper reports are meant to be believed in terms of people, with the stadium ownership and stuff like that. But I think there's a good foundation there. And as you said, yeah, people who went to Upton Park when they moved to Upton Park probably had a big old moan up, and you know
Yeah.
so much history in there that naturally there's going to be some. It's like when you move house. I remember moaning about moving house with my wife because I'd have to get a bus to the station where I used to walk to the station. And after
Mm.
about 5 minutes, 5, 10, I got used to it. And you found a different way, a different pub, and it's life, unfortunately. But the thing about the London Stadium now, particularly for my wife and my daughter, is my daughter's 8 years old, so she knows West Ham uh, only have been at London Stadium. She doesn't know about Upton Park, although she's been there. I made sure she was been there, and it's for the next generation. It's a horrible thing, but it's not for our generation. It's for the next generations, for the next 99 years, or whatever the lease is, or 96 years old. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm looking forward to that day everyone gets back. I just think it'll be it'll be a very emotional day. I think when everyone gets back.
Yeah. I think we do. I mean, I know what I'd sound maybe like an apologist for new stadium, but I think we do owe a lot to the kids. I mean, my boy, he's only 18 months, so
Yeah.
I mean, he has actually been to the ground to watch the women's game
Yes.
against Tottenham.
Yeah.
Uh, but he enjoyed the train ride there thoroughly. He slept during the whole match, and then woke up when we left and enjoyed the train ride back. So, but next game he'll go to, he'll love it.
Yeah.
I mean, that infamous Burnley game where there was people got on the pitch,
Yeah.
and them West Ham kids had to sort of hide out in the Burnley dugout. That was what's that telling them?
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want the other extreme where you have this modern sanitized football. When I went West Ham as a kid in Upton Park, it was rough, it was ready. You would
Yeah.
hear, hear and see some things that you wouldn't repeat in the schoolyard the next day or on a Monday. But on the other hand, you don't want kids hiding from their own crowd and being scared, and that's what their experience of going football is. Because if that's what it is, mine was a lot better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm suggesting a lot of things without much logistics. There we go.
Oh well, let's talk about nostalgia, Alex, because
Yeah,
that's the point.
it's not
Now.
what it used
So
to be.
so the first question I ask, 29 minutes in, no, I'm joking, 29 minutes record, so that'd be good. Is why are you a West Ham fan, Alex? What's your story, mate?
It's hereditary, like some tropical, some disease.
Yeah, yeah,
No, so my my dad support, supported West Ham. Obviously, he's no longer with us, unfortunately. Since he was a little kid, and his dad, and my granddad supported West Ham.
yeah,
I'm doing the maths, and if you go back further, I don't think you've got that much left of West Ham in existence, really. So it's sort of been around in the family. They were East London. I mean, I get told I have a very North London voice, but that's where I've grown up. But no, you sort of half second generation Cockney, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Um, and with the book, a lot of it is sort of the old sort of family stories about East London during the war. You know, my dad was a sort of typical baby boomer, you know, born 46.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, right
well,
in the middle.
he grew up in bomb sites. You know, that's where they
Yeah.
played. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of old stories. I mean, a small thing with this book, it's not an overriding thing, but it's nowadays sort of, I don't know. It's do we? I mean, you don't want to sort of live too much in the past, but do we still
Mm.
think about the war? I don't know. Maybe sort of examine our relationship. It seems like we're obsessed about it for decades and just sort of threw it to the wayside. Well, that happened. It wasn't that long ago, and
Mm.
I just sort of sweep it under rug. Whereas truth is, you know, sort of growing up with old war stories, especially from my nan, it's sort of always sort of been fascinated. Not so much the sort of history of, you know, Germany invaded Poland in rubber, but more the sort of cultural. I mean, this is a cultural book as well as a ghost book of in this case, sort of East London in that era, and sort of it went through hell, and as a result, it sort of produced or sort of kept going this people that sort of ever loved almost throughout the world now.
Yeah.
Um, so I deviate from the question, but yeah, so
Yeah, the question. Oh God, yeah, my live
yeah.
streams are just don't worry about that one.
I have a bad habit of cutting myself off because I think, oh God, I'm rambling and rambling. So I thought, with Russ, I'm just going to ramble and he can cut everything out
Yeah, I mean,
if
that's the
possible.
thing. Like
Um,
someone said to me once, how long's the videos going for? No, no, don't know. Whenever you
um,
finish, yeah,
no, squiggle. But no, so I can't remember the first game I went to.
yeah,
I remember one. Oh God, it must have been about 6. I've heard it might have been Derby, but I don't remember any of the game. But I remember being in a crowd, you know, being in
yeah,
a stand. You know, I remember it well. It was the West Stand. Um, Back when, obviously, before they did it up, and you had sort of concrete columns right in front of you and couldn't see
yeah,
half the
yeah,
game. I
yeah,
remember, you know, I was sort of quite a, believe it or not, quite a naughty kid. So to be put in a place where grown men could shout really loudly and you can jump up and down
yeah,
was amazing. You know, oh my god, they're loud. It's like, yeah. But the first game I really remember, I was older. I was about 10, and it was Barnsley, and it was a 6-0.
yeah,
I don't know if it's every year, sort of West Ham official page sort of puts out the highlights, and that's how I can work out how long I've supported West Ham.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it was a false advertisement because I thought, bloody hell, supporting West Ham's great. You know, we won 6-0.
It's
And
easy.
that's how it got me hooked, like some opioid. And then now the rest is just being uh,
Brilliant.
strained at times. But yeah.
Yes, that's a good way to say it. Yeah, and it's true. I mean, I think my first game it was against Oxford United, Oxford United, but I still had a bit of West Ham about it because like we conceded within 30 seconds of the game kicking off. So there,
Mm.
you know, that's brilliant because you know a little whippersnapper with my knitted hat and my scarf, and then 30 seconds in we've conceded. And my granddad, God rest his soul, I always remember it because I can just see him saying it now. He just turned to me and went, "Get used to it. You got a lifetime of this." And I didn't believe him. And then we ended up winning the game, and Julian Dix, Thunderbolt, and top corner. You know, that's all that stuff. But it was, yeah, I had that little sprinkle of West Hamness, just so it just kept me, just kept me on the right track. So no, it's good fun. No, it's lovely. And you said that although it's hereditary, it's a condition. I
Mm.
wasn't going to be any other player fan apart from a West Ham fan, to be honest, at all. So yeah, it is what it is. But we live and learn, don't we? We live and learn, and you'll pass that sort of illness down to your children.
I
And
think he loves kicking the ball around. I mean, he's 18 months. It's good. Like, he's kicking all these plastic balls around the living room all day. So hopefully you got the next Mark Noble there in my voice
lovely,
with the
love,
surname.
yeah,
Yeah.
no. I know it's one of those things where I mean my daughter, she's not really. I mean, obviously we live in Hornchurch, so we weren't far from Rush Green, so we've been to some couple of lady games. women's games rather, and she hasn't been to London Park. Obviously, I keep calling it Upton Park, and I've been there for how many years now, to London Stadium. But she will do eventually, and yeah, she's, as I said, it's been passed down that she hasn't got a chance of whatever goes on. So I feel sorry for her sometimes. I don't at other times, because actually, I think it's character building. Yes, you could go and support, I was say I almost said a proper team then, but a team that wins, for example. I got fired if I said a proper team, but you know what I mean. A team that's winning. Whereas West Ham, it shows you that it's good life lessons. I think you can't have everything you want, but when you do get what you want, enjoy it, because you don't know when the next time it's coming, and that's basically being a West Ham fan, in my view.
Well,
that exact reason.
Yeah, sometimes chickens come home to roost, if that's the right phrase. So I grew up where I live now. It's northwest London, charming ex-Irish place called Cricklewood, and but when I was a kid, everyone was Man United because they were really good, and sort of winning everything. It was that era, Beckham and a bit before that, Cantona and everything. And then it's not unusual now. Go London Stadium, and we beat Man U. If that happened when I was, oh my god, the euphoria! I would have been elevated in social status on the playground. It's sort of now, seeing Man U not be what they used to be is lovely. I know that's a cruel way to see it.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. It's one of those things where, teams come and go, but it's like but with West Ham, there's going to be, we're going to turn up 3 or 4 times a season, but you don't know when it's going to be. It's almost like it's like a jack in the box. When they're going to pop out and be a really good team. So you have to watch every game, just to see it. But no, it's good, and that's why I love West Ham. I'm just a massive. I literally would. Although, to be honest, I've interviewed lots of like American hammers who get up at like 4:30 in the morning to watch games, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't think I could do that. It's like I feel such a bad West Ham fan for doing it, but they have to, don't they? It's needs must for them. So yes, it's very. But no, it's all fun and games. Right. Okay. Let's move on to your 11, because I'm looking forward to this, Alex. You've said it's been it's an eclectic mix, and that sounds just how I like it. So the only rule of my Hammers 11 is you have to be alive to have seen them play.
Oh, I didn't know that, but that's actually what I did. I thought I was being all cool.
Cool, but that's it. That's the point of the show. So it's okay.
Anyway, so yeah, obviously all players I've seen. Now, as aforementioned, my book, The Iron Circle, The Tale of Harry Thomas, is set during World War II and around the West Ham team there. Now, in that era, formations were very different to now, and so in emulating wartime West Ham formations, I've gone with a 2-3-5 formation.
2-3-5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like left off and things like that, isn't it? I think it's like I've learned all these things interviewing like older fans, more experienced fans, because I never knew what all these positions and left forward, left. I don't know. It's like, well, just let them go. 2-3-5. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. We'll start off in goal, because I know at the goal. I know as a goalkeeper's a position, so that's it. We'll start there. Then you can start doing the rest.
I mean, just quickly, second rule is, and I mean, luckily our sort of conversation has kind of led up to this, but I mean, with everything being sort of quite down and sort of morbid at the moment, obviously in the West Ham world, with sort of been a lot of stresses and growing pains and everything, I've basically picked the sort of most sort of eccentric or sort of big characters. We've had loads of great that haven't sort of been big characters. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. But no, these, I mean, it's not even the best 11 players I could think of. It's sort of basically, I was talking about sort of return to the London Stadium in an ideal world where we can all hug these strangers next to us and shout really loudly. It's what I'd pick is the sort of madcap team to walk out in that game.
The madcap team. I like that.
Yeah, nice. Be like you probably know it from your little girl, sort of the Furchester Hotel. If anyone sees sort of kids TV, sort of rather than reviving Hammerettes, we'll sort of have Muppets and sort of welcome to the London Stadium. So yeah, so anyway,
That reference, Alex, is only going to be useful to worry about. I know 5% of our listeners.
yeah, these are off CBeebies. That blew my mind because
Yeah,
in,
Ben. We
in
had Ben on.
lockdown,
Yeah, Ben Carjo
yeah,
from CBeebies on the other day. Big West
yeah.
Ham fan. So there you
Um,
go.
yeah, obviously lockdown whilst I was out of work for a little bit. Yeah, I watched a lot of toddlers TV.
Yes.
But yeah, anyway, so in goal, Adrian.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah, it's a good
You
start.
know,
Yeah,
I mean, it's weird with him because I feel bad for him because well, I started off feeling great for him that he went to Liverpool
yeah,
and he even had them games, in the European Cup, whatever, whichever when it was. Well, saved that penalty. I thought, bloody hell, he's going places.
yeah,
And then, especially with that sort of 7-2 thumping, it sort of looks a bit like sort of things have gone a bit wayside. But in terms of him at West Ham, that sort of Bamos attitude, sort of talk about hearing players, you'd be at a game, you would hear him sort of slapping his gloves and shouting.
yeah,
Stuff like when we came back and beat Tottenham in the Carabao Cup, and he sort of ran the whole length of the field, sort of hug was it Bonner or Ayew, whoever scored the winner.
yeah,
Of course, the Everton penalty, where he took his gloves off before shooting, and then at Mark Noble's testimonial when he did the same thing, missed, and then still celebrated anyway. So yeah, Adrian in goal. I mean, it wasn't until Fabianski that I didn't think Adrian was first choice. I thought he was much better than Hart, and I thought he was better
yeah,
than Randolph. But then Lukash came along, and yeah, he's better. So
yeah. And obviously, yeah, we had the fun of Roberto as well in between that. So yeah,
oh, I
and
forgot about him.
yeah, someone made a point about Adrian. I can't remember who I interviewed. That's going to really annoy me now. But we were talking about Adrian, and it might have been Ben actually thinking about it, and literally he said, "Could you imagine?" The thing about Adrian is if he'd missed that penalty against Everton, he had to put his gloves back on. You know, it's going to pick him up again because he sort of threw him off, didn't he? Like total mic drop moment when he did
Yeah,
that. Could you imagine sort of like a little naughty schoolboy coming back and putting his gloves back on and sitting, getting ready for the next penalty? But no, he's a crazy guy, and I was really disappointed that we couldn't get to play him when he was playing Liverpool, because we'd have had another chance. Not just Alisson in goal, we would have had Adrian in goal because he was always
yeah,
capable of a flap, wasn't he, old Adrian? Bless him.
yeah, yeah. I think that was what held him back. But
Yeah,
also in terms of personality, I understand he did a lot of work with any old irons,
yeah, he did.
and
Yeah,
I always appreciate when a player does that.
yeah,
If you want to prove to people that you're not there for money and to drive off in your Lamborghini, then yeah, you're helping out the community, local community and West Ham community.
yeah.
So
Definitely.
good on him for that.
Yeah,
Actually,
exactly.
he's
Top guy, lovely
yeah,
guy. Right, okay, and he was always there's a few of them when we used to do the open training sessions, particularly at Upton Park. I remember he was one of the last players in from training. Do you know what I mean? He was one of the first players out because always the goalkeepers are out training first, aren't they? And he was always the last one in almost. It was him, Sacco, Alex Song, and Chet Kiyute. They're the ones signing. And Adrian, I think maybe because he's got kids or whatever, he was literally signing everything. Getting anyone who had an Adrian goalkeeper's jersey, he lifted them over the barrier, signed their shirt, took the picture. Next one, poor bugger must have been knackered by it because everyone had an Adrian shirt, it seemed, but at the end of the day. But no, yeah, top guy. Right, okay, so that's the goalkeeper. Then we've got the two. Now you'll have to educate me, Alex, and tell me what the positions are. If you know what the positions are called, then fair
yeah.
play.
What with this being so mad and eccentric, I'm playing a bit fast and loose with positions, but so in terms of the defence, I'm going to do, if it's all right, both of them at once because it's
Yeah,
kind
go.
of the same reason. So I've got on the left Stuart Pearce. Has, I guess before going to football, my football education was Euro '96
Sure, yeah.
in 8-ish. And seeing Psycho, seeing him score that penalty and sort of yell and veins sticking out his neck and everything. Again, up when I saw that people could do that and get away with it, without
Yeah.
getting. Um, yeah, and also he's a punk rock. He likes his punk rock music.
Oh,
Apparently,
yeah,
he
yeah,
played
yeah, yeah.
records in change rooms, even for England and everything. And then on the right would be Dixie. Again, I mean, he's one of the two or three in this where if you actually see them interviewed, they're not sort of big characters. He's sort of
No,
got
no, no, very quiet man.
great accent, but
Mm.
and I think it was sort of rep of him being violent, bordering on and unfair. I mean, he was solid in
Yeah.
what you do things nowadays would be fouls, but I don't think he was sort of a malicious person. I think he
No,
just,
no, no, not at all.
um, he's the only person that I ever saw Roy Keane look scared of. Put it that way. I'm scared of Roy Keane, and I've never even met him. He's
Yeah, yeah,
scared. But so having them to sort of, oh, also with Dixie about how the story about the first time he played at Upton Park away for Birmingham. He sort of, I think, probably butchering it, saying sort of someone spat at him or something from the chicken run, and rather than sort of being shocked by this, he sort of thought, "Oh, this is all right." He sort of liked that someone could sort of spit him, that sort of rough and ready. It's
yeah.
a dead breed of footballer, or at least a dying breed of footballer.
Very
But yeah,
true.
so you've got those two quite, I don't want to say tough as in violent, but firm sort of punk rockers at the back. So they all of them being only two fenders, I think we can trust them to sort of put up a good fight. Yeah, so Julian Dixon, Stuart Pearce in defence.
Nice, nice. I like that. Sounds good. Right, let's carry on. Let's go into the three.
Yeah, so on the left we have here, there, and everywhere. For the sake of my dodgy formation, John Moncur.
There we go. John.
Um, yeah, I mean he's one of those players that was sort of there the first time I got obsessed with football. So
Yeah,
trying to remember the season. Maths is my weak point, but it was when the Canio was new. If anyone remembers when we beat Barnsley 6-0,
yeah.
it was 97, 98, maybe around then. Anyway,
Yeah, there'll be someone like Kent Hammers will mention it in the description in the thing, so don't worry. He's like my fact checker.
maths anyway. Um, but yeah, so yeah, John Moncur. There, I mean, I always thought I really, really liked him actually as a player, as young
Oh
as I
yeah,
was. And of course, for the sake of this, he was sort of known for a lot of hijinks and sort of being quite a character in the dressing room.
yeah,
Again, recycling old stories. The time when his training kit was hidden,
yeah.
so he just walked onto the pitch without one on. Let's
It
just say,
wasn't
or
hidden.
anything.
It wasn't hidden. There was no kit left. We've had John
Oh,
on the channel, and
it's praying. Oh,
yeah, he was brilliant. It was funny because John's a little, he's when we started talking about the old days, you could see this glint in his eye, like he was like he's coming back. But yeah, he said it was like there was no kit, and so he was like, right, fuck me, so I'm going out. He just walks out completely stark bollock naked, and then Harry runs out of his office and say, John, we got the Sky cameras in. Don't. And he went, well, I want some fucking kit. And then he went, okay. And he basically went to the kit man and went, right, you always make sure that John's got a pair of tracksuit bottoms at the top, And no, he's mental, absolutely mental. And obviously we've interviewed loads of players around that time as well. And yeah, the John Moncur stories are just one after the other. Crazy man. Loved him.
okay. So in the centre,
Yep.
and then this is another sort of stabilising force for otherwise anarchy, would actually be our very own Mark Noble.
Yep.
Um, Another little task I did with this was also to try to keep it as recent as possible.
Sure.
Um, Not sure why I did that, to be honest, but it's good. I mean,
Um, yeah.
I idolize Mark Noble, as much as you can when you get a bit older and shouldn't be idolizing people anymore. No, again, I'm to talk a lot about East London, and obviously sort of leading into the book is he's a Canning Town boy. He's sort of
Mm,
I mean, everyone knows this. There's no point me going on. But the fact is, he's a local lad that
yeah.
succeeded. He did well for himself. He did what a lot of kids sort of dreamed of.
Cool.
There's that sort of success story. I think he gets a lot of stick. Every season it's this, oh, his leg's gone, his legs are gone. I mean, I think it's a bit sort of, you throw enough balls in the air and eventually one is true. I think, yeah, it's 2020 and maybe his legs are getting a bit weak, but I think all in all, he's I, I think I won't say he's underrated. I mean, whereas he's not the best player in the world, I do think he is good, and I think he's sort of served the club very well. And actually, where he's put in effort, actually compensates for where he might lack. Where you have other players, Pogba, for example, where they've got skill up to the eyeballs and then effort is sweet FA. So
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
much rather have a team of nobles than, well, a team of Pogbas.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so he'll be our captain, just as my tribute to him as a captain. I mean, I also remember a time when he wasn't. There was calls for him to be captain. It was sort of more and more everyone was saying it. I think we still had Upson, with all due respect. So
Yeah.
to actually see him be tried as captain and then for him to do it for years and years, I think it's a nice thing to witness.
It's a bit like Deck now, isn't it? It's a bit like Declan now
Yeah,
in that it was you can see this sort of circle of life in that, last season it was like just give and even more this season, give Deck the captainship, give him, and obviously he's a starter and Mark's not, and so Declan
mm,
naturally is the captain, but and it just seems like life repeating itself. Do you know what I mean? We hope that obviously Declan will have it as long as Mark Noble had it, but
yeah,
it's nice to see. There's some sort of not stability. That's the wrong word, but it's cyclical, isn't it? So
yeah,
yeah, no, it's great, man. I love Mark Noble. He's
yeah.
brilliant, and
I think
having a fan playing for your
yeah,
team is
exactly.
special.
Yeah.
It's special.
Yeah, when we got rid of Tompkins, I mean, it's not that he really went on to set the world alight, but sort of losing a West Ham fan that was adequate,
Yeah,
all right, was a bit like, I'm not saying it has to be a team of Londoners, but
no,
it's some of the best players, haven't even been English. Di Canio weren't from Plaster. You got to be a bit flexible. But to have West Ham fans in a West Ham team, it'd be nice to have more of it.
would be,
Um,
yeah, would be, yeah. But
yeah,
having a smattering, I think if you as long as you have a smattering, then you're
mm,
all right. Because he said the modern game, you're not going to get a team of 11,
no,
newer boys. But I think it's important, even when Mark retires, which we know will be sooner rather than later, hopefully next season rather than this season, so at least he gets a whole season with the fans in the crowd. Is that he's still there, and so I mean that's what they do now. A lot of the ex players, obviously, you got Steve Potts and Kevin Keane and Colton
yeah,
and
um,
Nolan and Stuart Pearce and Zavon and Conch, and they're all part of the parcel of the team of the sort of setup, and hopefully that means Mark will fit into that as well, which I think is they're already
I
earmarking
think
him for.
that's his plan. I mean, I was sort of sometimes think if I was him, I don't want him to at all. If you watch this, Mark, don't. But I'd understand if he sort of went off to like a lower league team or abroad just for a year, just for like a new life experience. But no, I'm perfectly happy that he seems to have that thing of, what's the phrase, earn his stripes as
Yes,
a as in sort of the, what do you call it, backroom stuff, whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, so
definitely.
he must be around a while. I mean, this is why I put him in the squad. I think he's someone that us fans should have framed pictures of in our houses. I think he's sort of, it needs to be a normally present personality, because I think he's earned it and he's taken stick for it and he's fought hard for it. And what more do you want?
Yeah, definitely. No, I totally agree. I totally agree, man. He's a top guy. Right. Okay. So you got Monks and Noble, and then you got one more in that three, haven't we?
Yeah, so I'm reading this upside down. So if I put it this way, so on our right we've got Cheku Kiyate, which,
Oh,
I mean, again, this is going through sort of personality,
yeah,
and this is more sort of, he's lots of sort of off the pitch, but also, well, from what I understand, and even what you sort of saw in games, he was sort of this big, loud, sort of
yeah.
smiley guy. I think he was, yeah, the first player to sort of run all the way into the crowd at the London Stadium. I think that was against Swansea. He scored a belter. And obviously that'll be a lot easier for the players to do nowadays, even if they do still get booked.
Yeah,
Um, yes, again, that the last Bolin season, I thought he was really, really great as well.
yeah.
But you know, he's obviously a bit sort of mad. There's one video of him singing the Pirate song, sort of
Yes,
really
play it loud. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the sort of Sacco's in the background going, shh, which might have been a sign of something that we didn't know at the time.
yeah.
Yeah, apparently he wanted to come back more recently, but it sort of fell through. And to be honest, in this real life West Ham team, not my madness, I don't think we really should take him. But in terms of a sort of bit of extroversion, I put Cheku Kiai.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, I know, as you said, obviously, we said that he was a lovely bloke when it came to player signings as well. But
Right.
I remember once, and I've mentioned it a few times on the streams, where I was doing the announcing for the European qualifier against FC Birkirkara. Do you remember we played that, the Maltese team? Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and
When was that?
that
Like,
was it would have been at Upton Park. I can't remember exactly when it is. I'm sorry. I'm even announcing the team. I can't remember. But it was, yeah, it
anyway,
was anyway.
yeah,
So he did that,
yeah,
and it was hilarious because no one knew any of the players' names, and I made them all up, and no one sort of criticised me. So it was because you didn't know what they were. Um,
yeah. I heard
I
that
was
game. That's what I was
yeah,
asking.
I was sat in the dugout with me, Cheku Kiarte and Diafra Saka. They weren't in the squad. They were watching, and I was sat there, and they were laughing at Fabrizio Micoli, who was the striker at the time, and Birkirkara was sponsored by McDonald's at the time, and Fabrizio Micoli, he was a proper Italian international ex, but he
Yeah,
was like me. He was a big lad with a McDonald's sign on his face. He was the one that Mark Noble at the away went, "Hey mate," he kept calling him fat. And they were laughing. So I was sort of showing them on Wikipedia that he was like he played for like all the top Italian clubs. He was Italian, and they were literally wet. It was so funny. It was so funny. But they were lovely guys, and yeah, Czech, as you said, he's a big personality. And it was I think when he left, there was I think it was a big influence, because he, as you said, he was a good personality around the dressing room. But yeah, they come and go, don't they? Unfortunately, but Czech was and that's a great shout having him in the team. I think it's
yeah,
great, man. Right, okay, so we've got this five.
yeah.
I love old
I
formation.
kept thinking, right, we're coming to the end now. Then I realized, no, I put everyone up top. I'm really sure why I did. Oh, yeah, it's to plug my book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. By the way, yes.
The front.
Yeah. Right, let's go.
Okay,
Start.
yeah. So on our right is the good London boy, Mikel Antonio.
Yeah, nice.
He can play anywhere.
Mm.
Just whack him on the
He
right.
did, didn't he? To be honest, he
Yeah,
did play.
yeah. I mean, it's easier with the more recent players, but I mean, it's as well as doing fantastic at the moment.
Yeah,
And again, I've just said sort of London boy, but I do like his sort of that personality, big smile on his face, sort of laughter. I mean, if I don't really sort of follow individual players on social media, but sometimes stuff comes in, and obviously I'm trying to with all this promo. But you know, sort of, he just I sort of feel sort of relate to him more. You can tell that he's loving life. He's appreciating where he is. I mean,
yeah,
that's the whole thing. Is that he's always sort of dancing and loving it, and sort of doesn't seem to take much for granted. Um, there's a lot of his stories and stuff like when he was a kid, the one day that he wouldn't be playing football was the day that the scout came. So he sort
yeah,
of kept missing his big break. And actually, way, I mean, he's sort of at Nottingham Forest, and when he was signed, I think we were all respectful, but no one was sort of made the fuss as we did
no,
when Allaire was bought, or even Fornals. Look at him now; he's our best striker,
yeah,
and, and he's been here years and years. Another example of give player some time, and actually, I already used this example, but yeah, he's an example of that.
yeah.
So
He is.
yeah, and of course, he doesn't do his dancing anymore. Maybe because there's no fans
Do you
there.
know what? Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking, why hasn't he done the chicken dance with Kevin Nolan there?
Oh yeah,
Surely
Is that-
that's too. I thought it was too. It might be too. I reckon Nolan's trademarked it. That's why. But what I like about Antonio is he's a grafter. So he's come through
yeah,
from non-league. Do you know what I mean? He hasn't been. A lot of these kids today, particularly the sort of the young British-based players, particularly, they've been plucked out at the age of 12 from some school team, are in the academy system, and they haven't had to go to Hamilton and Richmond on a Wednesday night or go to Crawley, or they haven't worked their way up, and he has. And I think that's why he's so he's a bit like Jamie Vardy as well. He's the same, you can tell he really and enjoys playing football. And I'm not being funny. Last Christmas, was it last Christmas? He crashed his Lamborghini in a wearing a snowman's outfit. So
yeah, that sort of behaviour it puts me off. Sometimes. But then
yeah,
crashing a
it's
car,
just
good people crash
yeah.
cars. I just hope it wasn't. Yeah,
But dressed as a snowman, that's the thing, So it's like, it's not like it was just these. A lot of them just you get pictures, don't they? That they crash it in a tunnel on the AO406 or something like that, and the police are there. No, it was a picture of him literally by the car dressed as a snowman. It's like, well, okay, right, Mikel, all right, fair enough, mate.
if you lived in a house, you'd be fuming.
You'd be absolutely, of course, you would be fuming. But that's the type of thing that
build
and
you
it's
a
the
better garden,
it is, but it's the type of thing that you'll still be talking about now. Oh, do you remember the time when Mikel Antonio crashes Lamborghini? He's the kid at school would be the kid who knows, because obviously no doubt that Antonio obviously had to work out all the insurance and stuff, and obviously knowing him, he's probably I don't know, got some tickets to us.
Yeah, if that family didn't follow football though, maybe a big muscly bloke dressed as with his motor in your front garden wouldn't be quite so fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Who's this guy? This guy. Some. I
Is
don't
he
know. Some
smiling?
guy. He's got his Lamborghini. Christ knows what he's going to do. That happened once. I remember when I lived in my old house, and 2 doors up, it was a getaway car, and they plowed. It was like a full Focus, the worst getaway car in the world you could probably get, and it crashed into their front garden, and that was like. That was the news of the close for about a week. It's like it's quite a boring place. But no, good old Mikel. Right, you got me.
Yeah. I shall go on to this. So I don't even know how to word these now. What have I done?
Just go for it. Just go. Just do it the next one. Just it doesn't really matter about the formation. It's sweet that
Yeah.
we got one, but you just go for the next one. Go on.
So we have a man that I'll describe as the best player I've ever seen in a West Ham shirt.
I'll find him. I find it before you say it. Let me find it. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Let me find it. Yep. There we go. Go on. Carry on. Sorry. What? Sorry. Okay. Go on. Carry on.
Oh bless! Imagine if he was really good. Anyway, but no, it was our man Paolo Di Canio.
Yeah.
Partly, this kid, by the way, is an original. It's about 20 years old. It's not this.
Wow, well played, man. Well played.
Oh, you can't see on my rubbish camera, but back when I had a cat when I was a kid, he's all like big bits out. Yeah, this isn't one of them new ones.
Cool, man. Yeah, I've got a new one, and it's impressive, the new ones. But yeah, that's the original, man. You can tell. Fantastic, man.
Yes, that's a tribute. I mean, I think I love Di Canio.
Yeah.
In a way, I said to my mum once, she's Palace, she's not even West Ham, but I said, like, he's like opera, not just because he's Italian, but that I don't know what you call it. And she said, like, no, because opera's music. He said it's like ballet, and that's a thing. I think we always talk about that goal, but that goal it's like just the epitome of Di Canio, that Wimbledon goal. The beautiful pass. In a way, that's losing my religion is the epitome of the band REM. Everything good sort of met in one moment. Or this season is Mikel Antonio meeting. But just the way he played, even his penalties. I'm going to say it wrong. What Lookman tried the other day, the Pinelka.
Yeah.
The
Panenka. Yeah, the loopy one.
When he done that, and when he scored that Wimbledon goal, and it's almost sort of like time slows down. So with the penalty, the ball goes slow and sort of it's gonna
Yeah.
go over, it's gonna go over, and then it sort of falls down, and then just that simultaneous release of the goal happening in the cheer. And again, the way I'm talking about 2 goals for about 1 hour, but that Wimbledon
It's
goal,
true though.
the way sort of karate kicks in the air, but it's sort of like sort of slow down. So,
Yeah, yeah.
then in, and you just. I mean, I remember. I think I was at his debut again as a kid. He was sort of hoofing balls over the Bobby Moore stand and everything. So I remember thinking, "Oh, great, this isn't going to work."
Who's this bloke? Yeah.
Honestly, it's sort of little tricks and without it just and then stuff coming from it as well. I mean, I've he sort of is the West Ham way, really, in terms of
Yeah,
how he,
yeah, yeah.
it's the way he sort of run for a whole team. I mentioned earlier now, you could see West Ham beat Man United. Well, you know, we got us a winner against Man United at a time when we never beat Man United. So
Yeah.
he sort of that, that sort of Harry era, and then a little bit of Roder afterwards
Yeah.
was fantastic, and I sort of feel he led it. I mean, there's also the reality that apparently sort of unsettled the dressing room and whatnot and whatnot. But we don't really have to pay attention to that.
No.
The way he played
No.
was just
Yeah.
fantastic.
And he was like his own one man show, wasn't he? He was a one man show, really, in terms of not his football ability, but just the whole way he played, the way he was, the way he conducted himself on the pitch. And you would go every game, you'd be excited to go and see what's Di Canio doing this week. What one are we going to get? It's so many personalities that is like, what Di Canio are we going to get? The sublime football player? Are we going to get the petuous,
Yeah,
toddler? We don't know. Are we going to get both? Who knows? But no, it was an absolute showman. Absolute
yeah.
showman.
I mean, I would have
Absolute
put him
showman.
in even if he was sane, but also for my my fiends, he's completely bonkers as well. So
Yeah,
I really
yeah, absolutely. Like, and we've had loads of obviously he appear. I think he is the most picked player. I believe it's either him or Julian, one of them. And basically, obviously, everyone has a story. Everyone seems to have a Paolo story, and some of them are just completely nutters. He's a complete box of what do they call it, box of nuts. Whatever.
yeah.
One of there's one where, and I always
Okay.
talk about it, where Mick Clifford, who was interviewing him for Scandinavian Hammers, and he
Right.
was at Chadwell Heath, and I think the team were playing a cup game. He wasn't picked, and he was there. It was in pouring rain, and all he could hear for like 40 minutes when he was waiting for Paolo to come out to the interview was someone whistling the Paolo Di Canio song. Like, and then like 40 minutes later, Paolo walks out of the doors like steam, like he'd been in the shower for like 40 minutes with like a towel around his shoulders, one wrapped around it. It was him singing his own bloody song, and you know what I mean. I loved him, and then he went, "Oh, I forgot, I've got the interview, haven't I?" Then he just jumps in his car, his mixed car, with just a towel around him, and they start the interview for like an hour and a half. But yeah, top bloke, lovely,
But
loved him.
I think because he still does it now when the all this lockdown stuff started. He just put up a little video of him doing kick ups in his back
Yeah.
garden in Italy,
Yes. Yeah. Singing
singing
Bubbles.
out bubbles whilst doing kick up, in wearing a sort of retro West Ham shirt. I think.
That's what I wanted to say. That it was a retro West Ham. It wasn't like one of his own match worn shirts, like like something you'd
I
like.
like.
He's either his agent's gone to get it, or he's there's been some sort of purchase been made, or some sort of transfer of goods for him
Yeah,
to get that shirt. So yeah, it was like a 1950s one, wasn't it? But
yeah. I mean,
and
it's
he's got a West Ham tattoo, so fair play.
true. Yeah, yeah. It's one of the tattoos we will talk about that he has. One or two
Yeah,
we might.
yeah, not all of them. Yeah, always. Well, someone mentioned it's probably the only he's probably got the only autobiography which has got a recipe for tiramisu in it. So I am going to find that and do it for my next baking channel. So my next baking episode, the Di Canio tiramisu. So
Can
yes,
I
it's
do a request for that?
what's that?
Can I do a request for your
Of
recipe
course,
thing?
of course you can.
Because, like, let's be honest, in this modern gentrified London, what we're we're all in,
Yep,
pie and mash shops are closing. I know Nigel Khan from
they
Christ.
they are beautiful. pie mash are beautiful for my God. My mother-in-law says they're smashing, and that is like a 5-star review because she
Okay.
doesn't like anything that she don't
Yeah,
cook.
they don't come to Crickwood. I live too far. I support an East London team. All my jobs are in East London, and yet I live
Yeah.
in West London. So yeah.
Well, yeah,
Well,
I don't think I could do pie mash
I'm a
justice. I'll be
massive fan
honest.
of London.
Yeah.
I've written a whole damn book about it. um, but yeah. Anyway, but what I was going to say quickly, I think sort of Paolo Di Canio's sort of mad sort of personality matched us.
Yes.
We,
Yeah, it was a marriage, wasn't it? Yeah.
it's sort of weird. He sort of fitted the collective personality. For
Yeah.
someone that obviously grew up in the other side of a continent, and I don't know. I mean, Italian football is. I think it's. I've never been to a game. This is second-hand info. I'm not
Yeah.
claiming too much, but I think it's got a lot of what our football might have lost a bit. And I'm not sort of talking about bottlings and fistfights, but I mean
I
just
know what you mean.
something that was around when that stuff was around. That sort of.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
There's a lot of things I don't know the words for. Which,
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. But also
um,
similarly, I think with Paolo, I think you've got
now I think it's the edge. It's this invisible thing that happens, and you don't know how to
yeah,
find it. It happens. By God, it happens, and I think football does that. I don't care about other sports, but football tickles that spot for slightly creepy metaphor. But yeah, I think that's why we all love it, really.
yeah. And
Yeah,
what I liked about Paolo was he just, and I think also the reason why he took to us so much is because, to be fair, if we hadn't picked him up after he pushed that referee over, his career wouldn't have been what it was. Because he wasn't putting. I mean, he was playing well at Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday. Him and Carbone were doing well, but he wasn't pulling up trees. He wasn't the Di Canio that he was after he left West Ham. Do you know what I mean? And by joining West Ham, he resurrected his career and he became in the same ilk. Not saying it as Bergkamp and Zola and Omri, Di Canio, Wright. He became in that group of people, and I don't think that would have happened if he wasn't at West Ham. And
no.
that's why I think he has that sort of allegiance for us. But yeah, anyway, let's move on. So we've got Paolo, PDC is in. Who's next?
You,
Who's
you just
next?
you just mentioned him, Ian Wright.
Oh, do you know what?
Now,
The amount of times I do that, I do apologise. The amount of times I literally, okay, right. So I won't mention Jonathan Caleri or John Carew because I don't want to pick your last two. But yeah, it's still wet righty. Good shout.
yeah. So I mean, now I won't bang on too much. I don't actually sort of rate him. I'll be more neutral. He's not my favourite pundit in the world,
Yeah.
and even when he was playing for us, he did a lot of a lot of stuff that identified him with Arsenal. I mean, I know that's the club that made him, and he loves it. But I found that a bit off-putting. But no, and he was a great player for us, and to sort of fit that eccentric card now,
Yeah.
and not criticizing too much. I think he sort of exaggerates it a bit now. I think he's playing a character, but hey, that's what
Yes.
happens.
Well,
But
I think they all do. I think they all do. Do you know? I think it is a character. It's like when we had. I mean, back in the day, you had like, your Martin Allens and stuff like that. Martin Allen plays the mad. When I interviewed Martin Allen, he was eating a dog biscuit. Do you know what I mean? It's like no one eats dog biscuits. You're just doing it because you're the mad dog,
yeah,
and there's no wrong with that. But yeah, no. And again, sort of even John Moncur in his sort of towards his twilight years at West Ham. He was there for 9 years, I think Monks was. Towards the end when he wasn't getting the team, he was doing all the jockeying behind the lines, playing a bit like the Joker when he was on the touchline, which was great. But it was him playing a role, wasn't it? And he said Wrighty was playing a role, but we loved it.
yeah,
We loved it.
yeah. I mean, I'm sort of into my rock music for that broad category, and I mean, I really like this band Red Hot Chili Peppers, and their bass player, sort of Flea. He
Yeah,
always, I say recently, it's probably 10 years ago that he said it. He says that when he's on stage, he feels like he still has to do that kind of.
yeah. And he's like older now, but it's like it's
Yeah,
like Kiss and Gene Simmons, isn't it? He's like 60 odd, but he still does the tongue stuff, and it's like,
yeah.
come on.
But the guitarist, so John Frusciante, in this thing, is sort of saying to him, "No, you don't. You can
Yeah,
stand there and like that and just go boom, like Beatles sort of stand up." So,
yeah,
but I guess people feel they owe a lot to this persona, and
yeah.
then we all change as we get older, we all mature, but they feel they sort of have to be stuck in that, in his case, sort of topless, sort of mad, sort of waving your bum in the air stuff. I mean, which is entertaining, but I think maybe sacrifice entertaining for yourself sometimes. But anyway, that's my advice.
I mean, it's the
I'm
same,
advising
isn't it? It's
him
the same.
right and flee from the cheat peppers. So maybe I'm punching
Well,
above
I
my
mean,
weight.
important wrestling, isn't it? Hulk Hogan's about 70, isn't he? And the Undertaker and all these, and they still do the same skit they did 30 years ago. Just because it's what they're known for, and it's the same as Flea, as you said, exactly the same, and a bit like Righty. He played that sort of cheeky guy.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, yeah. Right, he had good celebrations as well. Actually, I mean, I
Yeah.
remember him doing a locomotive, and that sort of led my dad to explain to me the song. Come on, do the locomotion with me. Sorry for my singing to a DJ. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
do.
love that song just because Ian Wright danced to it once after a goal. Please tell me this is true and not some weird Freudian dream. I remember him getting his bum out once. There seems to be a nudity theme in my thing. I think it's Newcastle, or maybe he didn't even score, but I should have Googled this first. I seem to remember him getting his bottom out.
I'm sure if he did, someone would go, yes, they were there. So, but
Right.
yeah, but yeah, you can imagine. I mean that era. I remember that era very clearly. In that, obviously we had people like Razor Ruddock, people like that, and Razor Woods. And Moncur. I remember them doing their lap of. It was when it was a lap of honor, not a lap of appreciation. That's what they changed it a few years, didn't they? It was lap of honor, and then it became a lap of appreciation. The lap of honor, and they would be fully clothed, suited and booted. By the time they got around all the four stands, they were practically naked. They were throwing their shirts in the crowd, their shoes. They basically just had their boxers on, and that was it. But and Righty was one of them, weren't he? He's like one of those lads, and
But again, this sort of sterilisation of football. I mean, when Lanzini scored that beauty against Tottenham the other day,
yeah,
well, this is revealing a lot about me. I didn't know, but I was so happy that he took his kit off, took his shirt off. It's
yeah,
I don't get. We've sort of gone back to some weird Victorian thing where, oh no, a man has his shirt off in front of children. Oh, so like I thought it was
yeah.
great.
But it's
It's
also
just
the
that cops. Let's be
little
honest, got
tact.
nothing there. It's
Yeah,
taboo. But yeah, so the punishments came with that. I thought even my
yeah,
old man was so mad about it. It's not the sort of big thing about seeing men topless, but again, I think what I'm trying to address in all of this and in this lovely book that I've written is tribalism, and not
yeah,
as us versus them or we hate them. It's not about hatred. It's about community, and it's about also being a bit raw and sort of primal. Again, I loved going football because I could stand up and swear and shout. If I did that on the tube, I'd get arrested.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
if you did anywhere else, you get sectioned. Yeah, until this, I could go to a building with loads of other people that have the same emotion as me every week, one way or another, and
Yeah,
just be mad. Like again, madness and tribalism is my overriding theme. So yeah, so madness, Ian Wright. Next, I would like to go on to one of the gents that's still floating around the club, Mr. Colton Cole.
oh, lovely, over chuffed.
Yeah, again, he's more of a lovable personality than a sort of batshit mental
Yeah,
one. But I picked him with this theme basically because of sort of the weird goals that he used to score
yeah.
or accidentally score. Turn around with a turn around to look, and it will sort of deflect off his shin, or he would scuff a shot wide, and then it would sort of ricochet off a player and complete. I mentioned them already. Actually, I'll give them loads of shout outs. I like the guys, but at the Stop Hammer Times, they also have a running, or they've had running jokes about, two men will walk across the pitch holding a sheet of glass, and Colton Cole will walk through it, or the front of the house would fall down and you'd be in the window. I'm obviously reusing someone else's humour for my own gain here, but it's that sort of slapstick scoring. That's what I should have said. Colton Cole always had slapstick
I
scoring.
like it. Yeah, I
It
like
was weird. Or even
But
when you do it right, that goal against Tottenham, where
yeah,
again I can't remember the year, but he sort of back to goal, picked it up, turned, smashed the granny out of it into the top. It was amazing. But then he sort of made balanced the universe out by setting up Defoe for.
And that's Colton Cole. He epitomised West Ham because he was a West Ham player. In the same way, West Ham turn out 3 or 4 times a season. Colton Cole did 3 or 4 bits of worldly football a season. You think, where the fuck's that? Seriously, where's that been for like his whole career? And then he, as you said, rebalance the universe and let him go. Yeah, and I love him. I think he's great. When he was on Soccer AM the other day, and he was absolutely crap. We've had a couple of the boys on who were on Soccer AM, and that day the West Ham lot, and he was absolutely. Oh, he was shocking, absolutely shocking. And they gave him the ball to take the penalty, and he afterwards, I don't know why I bothered with that with Colton. It's like you should have given it to Ginge. You just smashed it. But yeah, he's brilliant. I mean, he's a lovely bloke, isn't he, Colton Cole? He comes across so well. Everyone loves him.
You just mentioned Ginge and Colton Cole. We'll talk about how great it is to have West Ham fans play for us, and obviously we're meaning people that like us, kids.
Yeah.
West Ham then fighting for the cause. But I actually think for all them people that like Ginge, obviously he didn't grow up West Ham. He's from Wales, but no, I think he sort of generally counts himself as a West Ham fan, not just he likes to go because he used to work there and knows loads of people. I think never got it wrong, but I think he now sort of identifies as one of us.
Yeah.
As well, I don't think he grew up supporting West Ham, but no, he wanted to stay around, and he's then gone into the training role. So we do seem to sort of make people like us. Obviously, you could say gives examples of the opposite, where sort of players sort of walked off in a half. Oh well, but I think it's sort of good that we convert people. Like Di Canio, we're just talking about that for ages. We obviously converted him with some of our lovable charm, and just hope we can rebuild. Get that back and going when we return.
Yeah,
So,
no, and you're right. He's one of those. I just think he's, I just think he's lovely. I really like. I think he's one of those guys that you can't not hate. We love a trier. God loves a trier, and so do West Ham. And I just think he's great. I just think he was a lovely bloke, and so we'll And it's nice to see him still around the club. He talks so highly of the club. Obviously, he does all the stuff with Chris on Irons United, and that's really funny. And
yeah,
it's really good actually, the Irons United stuff, and it's good fun. It's not as fun as My Hammer's 11, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's not My Hammer's 11, but yeah, it's something to watch. I love Chris. He's all right. But yeah, no, he's a top guy, Carlton. And I think if you're having this sort of eccentric, enigmatic 11, he has to be in it. Carlton Cole has to be in it in the modern era. And there's one more spot.
So this will be on the on the right, on the furthest right.
Yeah.
So this is a player. His personality seemed quite sort of philosophical and subdued. Yet, sort of on the pitch, he seems sort of mad. He'll miss a free kick and sort of rip his shirt. I remember Soccer AM had a skit about him as the Incredible Hulk. I've intentionally not said the name, but also I've put him as a bit of a testimony because he's someone I thought was fantastic. A lot of people compared him to Di Canio. I'm not sure how accurate that was, other than them both being Italian. Which it sort of annoys me when people do that. They compare people because of something kind of mostly irrelevant. But anyway, it's a player I really think we should have kept. We didn't. I think he used to play mad football and really had a lot of passion, and that is a man called Alessandro Diamante.
Yes.
And I absolutely rated him at the time.
Yeah.
He had that sort of charisma.
Yes.
But that era was tough. That sort of Zola era.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I sort of actually thought he was a bit of a gem in it. I mean, it might be medium fish in a wobbly pond, but I really wish we kept him. I thought he showed a lot of promise, a lot of fight. Again, what I've mentioned about sort of Dixon Pierce is he kind of had that, especially when he had that shaved head, that sort of slight, looked like a sort of Italian sort of punk rocker. Sort of real up for the metaphorical fight of the game. Yeah. And that's what we liked. So yeah, I've, him, Noble, and Di Canio, I'll have to put more or less in any
Yeah.
Hamazin I'll do. And yeah, I think he deserved more out of club than what he got. So I'm
Yeah,
trying to.
I agree.
Yeah.
He was like, it was funny. We was interviewing. I've just had really bad deja vu. How is that? I just like I've ever been doing this before. But no, we were interviewing Frank Newbell. Do you remember the big Frank, big
Yeah, yeah,
striker?
yeah, yeah.
So
What
I
about
interviewed him. He
24?
was, yeah, he's good, top bloke. Really fun interview. That will come out. That'll have been out before your one comes out anyway, so people have already seen it. So it's no spoiler. But with Frank, we spoke about that Zola era, and he picked Diamante in his team as well, and he's still fuming because on his debut, Diamante didn't could have easily passed it to him to score on
Oh
his
no,
debut.
that was Arsenal, I think.
Yeah,
Was it
it's
Arsenal? Yeah, yeah. I was in a
cup.
pub with my mate James Shelley, Ella. Yeah, in Cambridge because I used to live there longer. Anyway, yeah, it's irrelevant. But yeah, no, I remember that well. I remember Nooble running by his side.
Yeah,
There's one of them where it's just like I
yeah.
I don't know. Should he pass it? Should he carry on? If he does one and it goes wrong, he should have done the other. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and it was funny because he was talking about that time, and that time, that Zola time. I mean, he was at the club for 3 years, and he'd seen 3 changes of manager, a change of ownership, a relegation, and a promotion. Albeit he was out on loan and stuff, but still, that was a really turbulent time at West Ham. That sort of
mm,
Zola, Grant, Allardyce bit, and so it's we look at how we've been, recently. That was a really turbulent time, even more so. And then you came in with Zola, and he was like, Zola's like always with the young kids playing and all this type of thing. Then Grant comes in, he's completely the other way, just wants experience and stuff. But no, yeah,
yeah.
top right. But
With these managers though, I mean, it's Roda or Zola or even Pellegrini. We sort of all remember them as flops, really. But you think all of them had like Zola, I guess half season, but all of them in the first season in which they were there in some way, they actually did all right. But then
yeah,
the
yeah,
second, give or take, second or third season, the wheels fell off the bus, and that's what we remember. So I guess a bit of a pointless fact, but I just sort of think that a lot of these managers, we
yeah.
do now with Pellegrini, you think, oh, it all went wrong. No, it all went wrong the second season. We were all
It's
right the first season.
like the same
Yeah,
way.
we were good. We were positively good. And yeah, yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
Oh, it's
but
just it's interesting, isn't it? Because as you said, it's like one of those things where for me, it's that second, and it's to be honest, there's been a lot of players that have been like that as well. You go through back. Sebastian Scherrel, he was Ham of the Year first year. The second year, he cut his hair like Samson. He was shit.
yeah,
Ilunga came on loan. It was always when players came on loan. They came on loan. They were really good. As soon as we offered them a contract, they were shit.
yeah,
It was
right,
just one of those
yeah.
things.
Can't remember
Um,
his name. Yeah. I mean, it happens a lot.
it does
Uh,
happen a lot. Yeah,
but
yeah,
even Payet, I mean, I guess he did leave, so it was only normal that he wasn't as enthusiastic the first London Stadium season.
yeah.
His always best bits apart from that one goal really against
Middlesbrough.
Middlesbrough was at Upton Park. It's again I'm talking about crescendos and times when all things come together. That's what happened at Upton Park. It's
Yeah,
Pyatt's career peaked there. It's almost like that one building did him the favour.
yeah. It's true, and
A
it was
bit woo-woo and a bit quasi-spiritual, but if anyone's interested in all this, it's very loosely addressed in the Iron Circle with the Tale of Harry Thomas, available on Amazon.
exactly very good. Well, yeah, no,
Only 90 minutes, I'm muttering and gasping. I've had such a
oh,
mare, but I've loved this.
it's mate. That do you know what?
Before my mare's been before this. That sounded wrong.
No, it's all good, man, and it's
Yeah,
lovely because like people. And at the moment, the world's a shit place at the moment, isn't it? So it's like anytime we can have an hour. I mean, people were sat listening to an hour. It's almost a game of football, and they can listen, they can switch off, listen to your thought, your memories. Then that will trigger their memories, And that's all that this channel's about, man. It's just about recording these memories, giving people a chance to talk about and plug the book, but like giving people a chance to talk about their time at West, because your experience is different from someone else's, and your experiences and your memories will trigger off things like Ian Wright, for example. My memory of Ian Wright, when we'd always, because obviously I'd get the phone call from the whoever was the person looking after the sponsors, who's the man of the match. And so I'd get the phone call, 5 minutes before end of kickoff. Yep, okay. Ian Wright may have literally just walked on the pitch, and he was always man of the match, because obviously he then goes to meet the sponsors to get the trophy. There was once we literally came on as an 80th minute sub, and I remember him winning man of the match. And so that's my overriding memory of. And obviously, you think Ian Wright, you think Neil Ruddock, you think that celebration. When he did the Canio celebration, and then obviously 2 months later or something like that, I asked Neil about that. I was like, "What happened?" He went, "To be honest, Paolo literally came over to us and goes, oh, he just calls a couple of crazy bastards, put his arm around him like that. You crazy bastards," and that was it. That was all that was said about it. But yeah, and no, it's brilliant. No, I love it, man. I love talking to people, and obviously really appreciate it. And obviously, as always, the book's available on Amazon. We'll put a link in the description, so make sure you check it out. Lovely Christmas present for any West Ham fan or any Ghost Hunter, Ghost Story fans as well. So thank you so much for your time, Alex. I really appreciate it.
That's okay. It's been great, actually. Yeah.
And obviously, absolute pleasure, man. And thanks to everyone for watching as well. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and share. If you're watching on Spotify podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, give it a like, give it a share. And from me and Alex, take care, everyone. Stay safe, wash your hands, come in your irons, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Much love. See ya. Bye-bye.